Let's start with the Toronto Maple Leafs here in this segment. They are 9-1 to win the Stanley Cup. They're plus 195 to win the Atlantic, so they are favored according to DraftKings. These odds, and they have the same point total as Tampa, 106.5. You guys have them for 46 wins. Really, kind of the same team, different in goal, but the same squad. Like they're up against it, and I took a shot at them last segment. They're a really good team. They're going to score goals. They're going to be a team that wins a lot of hockey games again. The division is different this season. It's not just the Canadian teams, which where they were beating up on all season last year. We're talking Florida. You got Boston in here again, Tampa in here, the rise with the Senators, and we'll get to the Habs in a little bit. Also, Detroit is an improved team as well. So it's a tougher division than last season. You got Austin Matthews. Yahoo has him ranked as 9. I think is a not a fair ranking. I think this is a for sure top 5 player. Mitch Marner at 14, John Tavares at 37, Morgan Rielly at 53, Jack Campbell 73, and Petr Mrazek, who they acquired at 75. So you really have to choose one or the other when it comes to these goalies, considering where they're getting drafted. And Frederik Andersen, now a member of the Carolina Hurricanes. William Nylander, I like that at 110. I mean, this guy had a pretty strong season last year scoring goals. My sleeper is Michael Bunting. I don't think I'll have a lot of shares of Bunting, Pete, because I live north of the border. I play in a lot of fantasy hockey leagues with Leaf fans. People will reach on this guy, but there's an opportunity potentially for him to play on the number 1 line because Zach Hyman is no longer a member of the Leafs. I mean, what's the next step here for Toronto? Like, what can you say about this group of forwards? It's like now or never, it feels like.
Right. They had the stability at least with their top line before, and then the second line was really strong with Tavares and Nylander, and now you have to factor in like who's going to fill those couple of spots. Like they have Kasha and Richie that they got from the Bruins that they signed on like discount deals. They also have another wrinkle with Nick Robertson, Jason Robertson's brother. You expect him to make an impact at the NHL level one of these years. Last year was, kind of injured, didn't really play. But of course, this year it could be him, could be Bunting, who I remember last year actually had some scoring flair for a pretty mediocre team in the Coyotes. He came in, he had multi-point games in 2 of his first 4, including a hat trick. So this is a guy, even when the scoring was drying up in the desert for the Coyotes. Like he came in and made a big impact. He had 10 goals and didn't even play close to the full season. So, yeah, as far as Bunting, hit the hope with him as a deep sleeper is that he lands on the top line at even strength. I mean, the power play there is loaded. There is not a spot up for grabs. That's one of the things that's good about Hyman
Yeah.
going to Edmonton. He could actually play on power play 1 as the 5th guy in Edmonton. So I like him more going to Edmonton than I did as primarily an even strength guy with the Maple Leafs. But yeah, for me, it's just about like I don't think they necessarily got any better. The goaltending could be better as a collective unit with Mrazek and Campbell, but I don't even know if I think the Leafs will be a playoff team. We have them 4th. That'll put them right there with teams like the Penguins and Montreal. They're a little ahead of Montreal in our projections. So, but we don't have them as a shoe-in playoff team. So that tells you that we have some concerns about the group. We have them behind the Lightning, behind the Panthers, and a hair behind the Boston Bruins even for a playoff spot.
Yeah, it's been years since the Leafs have won a playoff series, and they were up 3-1 against the Canadians. I mean, this is, like I said, this is it for this squad. It's really about the postseason. If Mitch Marner can score goals for them, if they can take that next step. Campbell or Mrazek? Would you rather Campbell?
Yeah, we have Campbell ranked a little bit higher. Last year was definitely some injury concerns with Mrazek, and of course going to the market where there's a lot more pressure. I know that Carolina has been a great story in recent years, but it doesn't compare to what he's going to be facing in terms of the pressure in Toronto. How are they going to work that tandem? Is it going to be, if Campbell regresses, does he turn into a flash in the pan like where last year he was great, but he doesn't replicate it? And then there's the negative vibes. Is Mrazek inconsistent, or is he the shutout machine that he was with the Hurricanes last year? I think there's really good individual upside with either of those guys. That said, like as a tandem to target and scoop up both guys, I mean, if you're investing in the Toronto Maple Leafs back end and then you're having maybe 2 of your 3 goalies on your roster or 2 of your 4 if you're rostering 4, that's a lot to invest in a shaky defensive team. So I would take either of them individually as my second goalie or third goalie, but I'm not I'm not like targeting that tandem and stacking that tandem. I just don't feel comfortable doing so. Tough
I
division,
don't
right?
either. It's a very exactly. It's a really tough division. I would just pass on both. I think Campbell is the play over Mrazek, who has dealt with multiple injuries over the past couple of years. Campbell showed, I mean, a lot of promising signs. I think he set an NHL Leafs record for like 10 straight wins to start his.
Yeah,
I think he went right. Didn't he have like 10 straight Ws? Yeah, and I mean he looked okay in the postseason as well. The Leafs didn't get the breaks. I will say this about Bunting, and I picked him up in a keeper league that you and I are in. It's a competitive league. I streamed him for I think maybe a weekend stream with Arizona, and then I hung on to him a little bit because he is a volume shooter. But what I will say, 10 goals in 21 games, a 26% shooting rate is completely unsustainable. A lot of puck luck
true.
when it came to Bunting last season. But if he is going to get an opportunity in a top six role at times, you said it could be Richie. I agree. It could be Kasha. Both of those guys, if they can stay healthy, I mean, they could pop up time to time. But I think Bunting, don't overreact and draft this guy super early. But if you leave your draft, if you're following along Leafs camp report, and he is getting an opportunity in a top six role on the second power play unit, maybe he could be a decent last round pick for you.